Hey guys, so you've probably been wondering, twin, where have you been? Okay, just kidding. Nobody asked, but a lot has happened in my life within the last 7 years, and I kind of want to unpack that right now. So let me go grab my notes. Alright, so I have my handy dandy iPad, aka my notes, and let's see, where do I even begin? Let's start from 2017 because that was the last time that I posted a video on this channel. And that year I was working at Sephora and I decided to go to beauty school. Took a lash course, became lash certified, and got my esthetician license. Then I started working at a lash salon right after I graduated. In 2018, I became super booked and busy at the salon. I even became an educator and taught lash classes a year in. Chris and I also moved into our very first apartment together, and this was our first time moving out of our parents' house. Then we got a second dog, a Frenchie named Rafi, and he's now Louie's best bud. After about a year at our first apartment, we moved into a slightly bigger apartment. I also decided to quit the salon amicably to become a solopreneur lash artist because I felt like I couldn't really grow within the company anymore. And they threatened to sue me, which that's another story for another day, but yeah, let's move on. I finally opened my own little lash studio and I even started my own lash supply line. During this time, I was working like crazy. I didn't even really know I had this kind of work ethic in me, but I was working 9 to 10 hour days, 5 days a week. But the thing was, I gained so much weight since I was just eating takeout every single day. I didn't have time to cook or, think about being healthy. I just didn't care about my health during this time. All I cared about was my business growing. Then in 2020, we upsized and we moved into an even bigger apartment. I made the most money I've ever seen in my entire life within my first year of going solo. I was financially stress-free. I also moved lash studios into what I thought was going to be a better space, but ended up being hell. Literally. That was probably the worst mistake I could have made at that time. Yeah. We'll unpack that another day. Then COVID happened. I had to shut down my salon for about 3 to 4 months during quarantine. During this time, I learned how to cook and I fell in love with it. So I cooked almost every day during quarantine and lost a lot of weight. I was also meditating every morning, so honestly, this was a really, really peaceful time for me because my work pace before was super unhealthy and not sustainable at all. The quarantine kind of forced me to take a break and live a slower lifestyle. Then, towards the end of summer, I moved lash studios again into another terrible place. Just my luck. So that's what prompted me to start looking for commercial spaces and just open up my own salon. Now, in 2021, I finally started to reap the rewards of my hard work, but I kind of balled a little too hard. I also finally found a commercial space and opened my own 1,200 square foot lash salon. Then I started teaching lash classes again. I started working out again, and I was in the best shape I've ever been ever since high school. I also went to music festivals, traveled a lot, and to a lot of new places for the first time, like Bryan Head, Colorado, San Diego, Mexico cruises, the Bay, Lights On Fest, Day in Vegas, Disneyland, Chicago. It was even funny because me and my friends had a saying that went, "Money comes and goes, but vibes are forever." I would say the vibes were definitely immaculate, but I blew through my money and my savings faster than I could replenish it. Now, moving on into 2022, that year honestly kind of felt like a blur, and not in a good way. I was no longer prioritizing my health. I stopped working out because I was just so stressed with life. I gained a lot of weight again. Rafi even ended up having IVDD and was paralyzed from the waist down. We truly thought that he wasn't going to be able to walk again. We even had to open 2 new credit cards just so that way we can get him some surgery. And it was a miracle because after the surgery, he recovered so good and was able to regain feeling back in his legs again, and he was able to walk like normal, like nothing ever happened to him. Then we also moved again. Yeah, I think we're at the 3rd apartment by now. The apartment we were at was raising our rent by so much that we were able to find a small 1-story home, rental home, for about the same price, or I think it was like a little bit cheaper. And it was closer to both of our parents. In 2023, I was making these cute little car charms for friends and family. So then I started an Etsy shop just for funsies, so that way I could try to like pull myself out of this dark place that I was in. I was also getting really bad eczema flare-ups, like all over my face, my chest, and my hands. I still kind of like get them every now and then, but not as bad, but they would be like huge patches. See, like here. I would be getting them like here in the center of my chest, on my chin, like all over my face, kind of like over my upper lip area, on my nose, and then I would even get them like at the top of my hand here. And it's usually on my right hand only. I'll get into that a little bit, but I would also just get them like on my wrist too. In addition to this bad funk that I was in, the eczema was just debilitating me even more. I tried to eliminate things that were triggering my eczema flare-ups through a lot of trial and error over the course of like several months, but ultimately I found out that my eczema would flare up whenever I lash and for long periods of time. My body can be pretty sensitive, so I think it was just me being around my lash glue for long periods of time and every single day. So I had to make a decision to cut my hours and work only part-time. My salon honestly was not as profitable as I was hoping for it to be. I was so depressed and stressed that I experienced my very first panic attack in the middle of the night. If it wasn't for Chris being there for me, I really don't know what would have happened, because it honestly felt like I could not breathe and that I was just gonna suffocate to death. That was a really scary night, and I think that was probably like one of my lowest points. So after our lease ended, we ended up moving back to my parents' house for a few months, and we just saved money. And that was able to lessen my stress load a little bit, so I was able to start working out again and start developing a healthier relationship with the gym. Then 3 apartments and 1 rental house later, we bought a house. Shout out to my mother-in-law though, because if it wasn't for her, that would have never been possible. Go ahead and take a water break because I know it's been a minute. Okay, so now on to this year, 2024. I made the difficult and heartbreaking decision to close my salon. It was just not financially viable anymore. It was super bittersweet because I just remember spending so much time and money into that space, but I knew the financial burden and stress of keeping it open just wasn't worth it anymore. So I went back to sharing a small little lash studio with my bestie, and now we're here. I've never told anyone how much I was suffering these last few years except for Chris. I never even told my clients because I feel like they come to their lash appointments to relax and to vent to me, and I just didn't want to burden them with my own life struggles. So I kept it all inside, and that was probably what was hurting me the most, forcing myself to smile through the pain, which made me feel so alone. Even right now, I feel like I regressed in life, and I low-key kind of feel shameful about it, but I keep trying to remember that life is not linear. There will always be ups and downs. So lately, I've just been trying to focus more on healing my mind, body, and spirit. And you know what? I feel like I'm better equipped to handle the ebbs and flows of life a little bit better. Honestly, just me unpacking what I've been going through has lifted a lot of weight off of my shoulders. And I feel a little freer now that I'm speaking my truth. My goal for this YouTube channel is to just be a safe space for me and for you to just be ourselves without any judgment, and where I can share the lessons I've learned in life so far in hopes that it'll help somebody get through their darkest times. So thank you for being here and for listening to my story. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.